This pandemic has caused some difficult situations for divorced parents. Psychologists and divorce attorneys telling us they're fielding some challenging calls from parents on the child custody front. With clinical psychologist Dr. Jeffrey Gardere joining us every night and family law attorney Matt Rooney on our A+ panel, we knew we had the right team to discuss this important topic tonight. Matt, let's start with you. What kind of calls are you getting?
It's getting desperate out there. We've all heard that, unfortunately, domestic violence is definitely up, incidents of it. People are in very desperate situations because it's always challenging, but when you have maybe nowhere to go because you have to stay at home and you can't go stay with a relative for fear of infecting them, it makes the situation all the more complicated. We're also hearing from people with some interesting coronavirus-specific questions. For example, maybe over the weekend, I saw my ex-spouse socializing in a way that wasn't comporting with social distancing guidelines. Do I have to turn the children over to them? Is it unsafe? If he takes me to court to complain about it, do I have a leg to stand on? So these are definitely challenging times in more ways than one.
Doc, what kind of questions are you getting? I know you're getting them too, maybe on the different end, on the psychological end, but what are you hearing and what are you telling people?
Well, something similar to what Matt has been hearing. I've been talking with parents whose kids perhaps are in the custody of the other parent, and they see that that parent may not be doing the proper things with regard to social distancing or being a really good parent in the way that they should, and they're really feeling guilty about that. They don't know what they can do. They don't know whether they should just rush in and grab the kids. But if they do that, will they put the kids at risk by bringing them into an epicenter like coming back into New York? So a lot of questioning themselves as to why did they allow the children to leave in the first place, or how can they get a hold of their kids?
Matt, let me ask you from a legal standpoint, does it give parents who are not in this area an upper hand, let's say, in this whole discussion of where the kids should be throughout the pandemic and the shutdown? You go to certain parts of this country, they are not shut down the way we are in New York and New Jersey.
I think that even though New Jersey has stricter guidelines than many other states in the country right now that are being enforced by executive order, there's some commonly accepted ideas right now of what puts a child in a higher level of risk. Let me give you an example. Maybe if you have a child that has a severe case of asthma or some other immune deficiency, clearly if a parent decides during their parenting time to take this kid to a backyard barbecue in Kentucky with 20 people, regardless of whether or not that happens to be okay in Kentucky right now, I think a lot of judges would say, the other parent may be within their rights to withhold parenting time if that's what the other parent is insisting upon doing.
So what advice, Doc, do you have for parents, moms and dads out there now that are coming to you?
I ask them to separate their own needs from the needs of the children. What are you really fighting for? That's first and foremost. And second, the advice that I've always given them when it comes to custody issues. You may not get along, but you have to get along enough in order to co-parent your children in the proper way, or they may end up being the victims of a lot of the animosity that the two of you share.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.